accounting for professionals. So, a person who is competent or skilled in a particular activity as well as formally certified by a professional body of a specific profession is called a professional person. So, what we have to discuss is accounting, how they are doing accounting, and how much they are earning per year. So it is a big challenging task because their services have some unique challenges with multiple clients and various different ways of billing. So it is very hard to keep a track of income and expense. So professional persons they have to maintain their books of accounts properly, adopting double entry system. So on the basis of their books of account, surplus from their professional income can be determined from the income tax purpose. So private individuals should keep his books on cash basis, ignoring accrual system in different heads like insurance premium paid, medical insurance, school fees, tax, household expenses, medical expenses, clothing, salary received, bank interest. So other incomes received likewise. So for all these, one should keep a cash book with a which can summarized on a monthly basis. So how they have to maintain all the books of accounts. So maintenance of accounts by professional. This will explain what they have to maintain and why they have to maintain. So a cash basis of accounting is most suitable system for the any professional, including doctor, accountant, whoever it may be. Why? To ascertain the professional income correctly for a specific accounting period. To calculate the net professional income after deducting the related expenses from the professional incomes. To correctly record all items of incomes and expenses. Why cash basis? Because they don't know when they will receive. They don't know when they will receive the income. But expenditure, it is a certain thing. But how much expenditure? It is uncertain. But expenditure is a certain. So they have to keep a record of all the incomes as well as expenditure on cash basis. So what they have to maintain? The following records should be maintained by professional. So cash book, stock register, receipts and expenditure account. So other related accounts are receipts and payments account, income and expenditure account, and profit and loss account, balance sheet. So these are the things. So I'll go brief with all these things. So cash book, whatever the cash payments and cash receipts will record in the cash book. Likewise in the receipts and payment account. So by ignoring whether it is a capital or revenue related, in the sense capital expenditure or capital receipt, capital revenue receipt or revenue expenditure. So by ignoring and these ignores the previous year or future year balances. So stock register, see, they have to maintain two types of stock registers. That is for one is the resellable items, and another one is personal use. So it is very essential to keep a track of personal expenses, and we should not going to involve those expenses in the professional, because we cannot get how much professional revenue we have and how much expenditure which is related to the profession we have, so that we cannot determine the surplus or profit. It depends on the account. So likewise we have to prepare. See, coming to this receipts and expenditure account, in this receipts and payment account, we record all the transaction on cash basis. And in income and expenditure account, we record accrual basis of transactions as well. But in this receipts and expenditure account, receipts we record on cash basis and expenditure on accrual basis. So profit and loss account, it is nothing but income and expenditure account, which you record all current year's transactions. So whatever related to the income and expenditure, we will record in the profit and loss account. So income and expenditure account is nothing but a profit and loss account. Okay. So balance sheet, we all know, we'll discuss it thoroughly. Okay. Coming to the cash book. So all receipts and payments should be recorded in a cash book, and a memorandum book should be maintained to keep record of our credit transactions. So this is all about the um, cash book in brief. See, in case of professional individual, one more column can be added in the cash book to show professional transactions and personal transactions separately. Why? Because if we involve the personal transaction, we cannot get the clear picture. So we have to record all these transactions separately. So this is the abstract of cash book. So balance, opening balance, salary, whatever the expenses we have, whatever the incomes, we have to record all these things in the debit side of the cash book, and whatever the expenses, we have to record it in the payments, nothing but payments. See, I mentioned here receipts and payments. So cash book is nothing but a receipts and payment account. But receipts and payment account will prepare at the end of the year. So coming to the stock register, as I told, two separate stock registers should be maintained. One for resale items, another for items for personal use. So another thing is receipts and expenditure account. So it is similar to profit and loss account. Similar to, not exactly, because incomes are recorded on cash basis. But in profit and loss account, we'll record a we'll record on an accrual basis, not on cash basis. But here, incomes are recorded on cash basis and the expenditure on accrual basis. So another important thing is outstanding incomes are ignored. Outstanding incomes are ignored completely, but outstanding expenses are included. So this is the important point we have to remember while preparing the receipts and expenditure account. So another thing is receipts and payment account. So it is just like a cash book. So it includes all cash receipts and cash payments, even though it is the last year or next year, in addition to the current year, whatever it may be, it records whether it is a cash receipt, then receipt side. If it is a cash payment, then payment side. So it ignores the time which the transaction belongs to. So we all know that all cash receipts shown in the debit side, receipts, payment shown in the credit side. Okay, so this is the pro forma of receipts and payments account. All receipts will record in the debit side, all payments will record in the credit side. So when coming to the income and expenditure or profit and loss account, expenses will record here in debit side, and whatever the incomes, revenues, so we will record in the credit side. So on accrual basis, but this is in cash basis. So other one is income and expenditure account of a professional person. So it is prepared in place of profit and loss account, income and expenditure account, because profit and loss account shows the either profit or loss, but income and expenditure shows the surplus or deficit. Okay, so if the total credit side is more, sorry, this account shows all revenue, expenses and losses on its debit side. So all revenue, expenses and losses on debit side. Similarly, all revenue, incomes and gains are shown on its credit side. So if the total of credit side is more, in the sense the incomes and gains are more, the balancing figure on debit side is called surplus or excess of income over expenses. So if total of debit side is more than the credit side, see, if total of debit side, debit side in sense revenue and revenue, expenses and losses, debit side. Debit side is more, the balancing figure on credit side is called deficit or excess of expenditure over incomes. And it does not include capital income or capital expenditure, but in receipts and payment account they'll include it. The purchase of fixed assets, this one is capital expenditure. So it does not include capital income and capital expenditure. Outstanding expenses of the current year are added. Accrued incomes of the year are added. So it is just like a profit and loss account. Only incomes and expenses of current year will record in the income and expenditure account. So non-cash expenditure like depreciation, provision for bad debts, etc. are shown on its debit side because these are losses. Okay. Note 1. It shows both received and not received incomes of current year on its credit side. But due to the uncertainty of accrued income in profession, such accrued income should also be shown on the debit side as a provision of accrued income. See, as I told you, it is very hard to expect the income for the professional persons. If he is a salaried employee, he can expect a salary at the end of the month. But in professional practices, so they don't expect the incomes. So what they will do is generally they will create provisions if they want to prepare the income and expenditure statements. In the sense, accrued incomes. So likewise, I told you, if we maintain receipts and expenditure account, in that receipts and expenditure account, we'll record receipts on cash basis, not on accrued basis. So we'll record the all receipts on cash basis, and we'll record all expenses on accrued basis. So instead of creating provision for accrued income, it is better to maintain cash basis of receipts. Okay, anyhow, we are, if you want to prepare income and expenditure statement, we have to deal like this. So note 2, a professional person can prepare income and expenditure account of his profession, including all his professional income and expenditure. Similarly, he or she can also prepare household income and expenditure account, including all household incomes and expenses. But we should not include all these household related expenses while determining the professional income, professional surplus. So this is the form of income and expenditure account. See, if incomes are more, in the sense credit side balance is more than the debit side balance, so this balance, the balancing figure will be surplus. If expenses are more, so the balancing figure in the credit side, it is deficit. In the sense excess of expenditure over incomes. So another one is a profit and loss account. Profit and loss account of a profession is prepared using the same rules of its income and expenditure account. So it is just a substitute for the income and expenditure account. See, professional person prepares this account to depict the net profit or net losses from the profession. This is only the reason they have to, they're going to prepare all these things. So if credit side of this account is more, the balancing figure on the debit side called net profit. See, we're coming to the income and expenditure statement, surplus. If it is a profit and loss account, net profit. So if the debit side is more, then excess of expenditure or income. But here, net loss. So these are the main features when compared to the substitutes. So in this profit and loss account, so all accrued incomes and all accrued expenses will record in this profit and loss account. So balance sheet. Balance sheet is prepared to exhibit the financial position of the profession. So we want to exhibit the financial position of the profession, so that we should not include the personal expenses or personal related drawings. So even in general balance sheet, we'll deduct the drawings as well. If we want to calculate the professional income, then we have to avoid all the household expenses. So at the end of the accounting period, capital and liabilities are shown on the left side, while assets are shown on the right side. So the balance sheet profession, net profit as per the profit and loss account, or surpluses as per the income and expenditure account, is added to capital and shown on the capital and liability side. But if there is a net loss or a deficit, so it will be deducted from the capital. So the main features of a professional balance sheet are: balance sheet columns are headed by liabilities and asset side. So these are the general features. So this is the pro forma of balance sheet. So assets in the right side and capital and liabilities are in the left side. So capital had a net profit. If it is a net loss, deduct it, and deduct the drawings, whatever the personal uses, you have to deduct it from the capital. So provision for accrued income, special fund donations. So add receipts during the year, add income carried on fund investment. So likewise, we have to calculate the financial position of the professional person. So according to the income tax rules 44 AA1 rule 6F, specified books of accounts are as follows. First one, cash book. Second one, a journal according to mercantile system of accounting. A journal is a log of all day to day transactions. It is a record in accounting terms where total credit equals to total debits. So, this is the day to day transaction purpose to prepare a journal and a ledger and photocopies of bills and receipts issued by professional person which are more than 25. So photocopies of bills or receipts issued by professional person which are more than 25 rupees. Original bills of expenditure incurred by professional person which are more than 50. So we have to keep all these records as per the income tax. So following are the additional requirements in case of person carrying on medical profession, physician, surgeons, dentist, pathologist, radiologist. So what are those additional requirements? A daily cash register which deals with the patient's services rendered, fee received, and a date of receipt. So details of stock of drugs, how much stock they purchased and how much medicine they disposed of. So other consumables used. So these are the additional requirements as per the income tax rules. These books should be maintained at the head office or at each of the offices, whatever the professional person has. So, mm, coming to the illustrations of the accounting of a professional person. So, first illustration from the following particulars relating to the silver point. Prepare a receipts and payment account for the year ending 31st March 2020. So opening balance, opening cash balance, bank balance, opening subscriptions, sale of refreshments, entrance fee received, sale of old sports material, donations, rent paid, sports material purchases. So the expenses. Finally, closing cash in hand. So with this information, we have to prepare the receipts and payments account. So with the given information, we have to prepare the receipts and payments account for the year ending March 31st, 2020. So whatever the receipts, we have to record in the debit side of the receipts and payments account. So opening cash balance, opening bank balance, and subscription collected. This is also receipt and sale of refreshments. So in this sale, we receive some we can realize from the sale of refreshments and the entrance fee received, it is also a receipt, and the sale of old sports material, it is also a receipt, donation received, so it is also a receipt, rent paid, expenses. So first of all we'll record all the receipts. So opening cash balance, to opening cash balance 1000 and opening bank balance 7200. 1200 and subscriptions collected per. So I'm taking all the subscription because receipts and payment account ignores whether it is current year related or future year related or past year. So if during the year any receipt we have will record it, whether it is belongs to the previous year or whether it belongs to the future year. So whatever it may be, we have to record all the receipts. So receipts 9,000, it as a subscription. So sale of refreshments, it is also a receipt. Sale of refreshments 1,000 rupees. Another entrance fee received 1,000. So another thing is sale of old material 1,200. Donations received for pavilion. So 1,200 and 4,600. 4,600. So rent paid, it is an expense payment. So we should always think whether it is payment or receipt. Don't think that it is an expenditure, because sometimes if we have the same thought, we may record it. There is a possibility of we may record the outstandings as well. So there may be a possibility. So better think in that way. Whatever the account you are preparing, so you have to always remember whether it is payment or a receipt. Sports material purchases 4,800. Oh, rent paid 3,000. Rent paid 3,000. So purchases, it is also payment. Purchases 600. So expenses for maintenance of tennis court 2,000. It is also a payment. Thousand. Salary paid payment 2,500. 2,500. Tournament expenses 2,400. It is also payment. So furniture purchased, office expenses, and finally closing balance. Furniture purchased is also payment. Office expenses 1,200. Finally, come up with the closing balances. So we'll finalize the balances in this account. It comes around 25,000. 25,000. The balancing figure, as we have closing cash balance, so we have to find out the closing bank balance. So balancing figure will be closing bank, cash at bank. So this is the balancing figure. So it comes around 6,600. 6,600. So this is how we have to prepare the receipts and payments account. So we will move on to the second illustration.